this program is going to be managed and accomplished by the Peninsula Joint Powers Board and the Caltrain team. We're a funding partner. We are a responsible agency under CEQA, but just so we're all clear, this is not one where we or our team are going to be, we don't have any direct involvement with the contract or the contractor. Our interest, and I think it's important to note this, is that as part of the agreement, if the board adopts it, what we get, which is really critical for us, is we get essentially the right of use of this corridor, the entry into the corridor, for our purposes for potential blended service. That's really the key here. So the quid pro quo, if you will, and I'm looking at our general counsel who will correct me if I'm wrong, is that by virtue of the direction of the California legislature, that we construct this project within the existing corridor to the greatest extent possible, and that we explore the use of blended service on that corridor consistent with the objectives and purposes of the Bond Act. That this vote today would be that we would provide a funding contribution in return for which we would have the rights to operate in that corridor. And in fact, the Peninsula JPB would even transfer access rights that they might get from private rail operators in the corridor now to us, so that we would have those as well. So stated plainly, we're sharing in the cost of developing a corridor that could benefit Caltrain and provide the corridor for high-speed rail. This is our funding contribution, which, by the way, is billions and billions and billions of dollars below what it would cost us to build a separate standalone set of tracks. So, and I'll just comment on the cost growth. All of us are disappointed to see cost growth in this, but I think it's probably less of a surprise to see it when you're talking about building in an urban, a highly dense, highly built up urban corridor where you have everything from commercial interest to environmental justice interest, and you have an operating railroad at the same time. This is one of the things that makes the electrification of Amtrak in the Northeast Corridor so expensive. It's an ongoing operating action there. And I would say that in the meetings that we've had with Jim Hartnett and his team, some of the issues that were driving some of the costs, where they were trying to balance minimizing disruption to their citizens by narrowing the construction window, we pushed pretty hard on those issues to get them to be as accommodating as possible to the construction schedule. And again, they still have a responsibility to protect their riders, but I think that there have been a number of efforts. Yes, it's true the cost, their estimates of cost have grown, but they've also been able to pull back on a lot of that cost growth by working using design-built concepts to get this underway. But it really is a partnership where, you know, for the part coming into the urban area, we can use this corridor. That's been demonstrated, and it could save us ultimately a lot of money, and also the ability to just build. Trying to get a standalone set of tracks permitted through that part of California was going to be enormously difficult, which is one of the reasons the legislature said we want you to look at using the existing corridor.
Well, you may remember I'm a pretty big fan of the blended section.